Vinyl friends, we've got a showdown coming at you that is sure to create
A little
controversy.
How about the Dave era Van Halen?
Yeah, we can't do all of Van Halen's catalog, so we can, but we're just picking to do the Dave era.
So Dave has the original 6 records and then put an album out with the band called A Different Kind of Truth, I believe in 2011. That's a good record too. Apparently it has a lot of music from that era that they never put on albums. Anyway, that one's not going to be talked about here. But we wanted to break down the Dave era because I've always been of the mind that you don't have to choose. You can love both versions of the band. You can love the Dave era and the Sammy era. They are 2 very different bands. You're talking about a Pasadena party band that, let's face it, sings a lot about sex, and there's a lot of that youthful energy to it. But the Sammy era definitely had a different feel. But we wanted to break down the top 5 of the Dave era. And even though I'll move number 6 is the Vinyl Ventures record. Go ahead.
I'll take
Wheels. You can take that one. So I kind of think that even though I think this is a stone cold classic, fair warning, it's their 4th record, originally released April 1981, had singles. So this is Love Unchained, which has become a classic Van Halen track, Mean Street, and Hear About It Later. Now, I've always gravitated toward this one, and I think it's because we talked about it recently. There's like a darkness. There's a darkness and a lack of that fun-filled singing about your wang.
It's the band going in a little bit different direction, maturing.
Yeah, and I saw this review on Wikipedia has it, and whatever the reason, fair warning winds up as dark, dirty, and a nasty piece of work. Dull, it is not, and it's not. But you're talking about a game-changing musician and songwriter in Edward Van Halen. And although it's kind of in that darker corner of Van Halen's catalog, I'm comfortable with Fair Warning being at number 5.
That's a good one for number 5.
Thanks, man. So number 4.
Number 4. The drum roll.
It's all, not confusing at all when you have numbers upon numbers. So we kind of thought that Van Halen II would be a good number 4. It's their 2nd studio album. It was released in March of 1979, peaked at number 6 on the U.S. Billboard Top LPs chart, and yielded the hit singles Dance the Night Away and Beautiful Girls. Also released as a single, Somebody Get Me a Doctor. And, when you have a debut album like their first album, I mean, it's going to be difficult moving forward.
It's hard to follow that up.
Yeah, I mean, they always say you have your entire life to write your first album and like a year to write your second. I've always loved this record. When I would go over to my buddy Bill's place as a kid, he always had this. And it was like, because of that, it was like my introduction to Van Halen. So I have a soft spot in my heart for it, but I've always loved the cover and the logo on it and just the plainness of that. And then of course you have their portraits on the back. Dave, of course, doing his
classic flying splits with the candy striper pants.
Yeah, looks like he's going to play for IU. But You're No Good starts us out, which is a great cover. Linda Ronstadt also did that song, Dance the Night Away. Bottoms Up, another great one. Light Up the Sky, Spanish Fly, DOA, Women in Love. I mean, great record. There's no bad Van Halen records.
No.
So number 4 is actually number 2. Now, at number 3, we're gonna put Chain Smoking Baby at number 3.
The Baby album. I love the Baby album cover.
I love all of the songs from this album, but I don't love the album the way that I do a lot of the others. And I think that might be because, and you'll know better than I was 10 when this came out. They were on the radio constantly.
Yeah, these songs were everywhere.
And this was released January 9, 1984. The singles were Jump, I'll Wait, Panama, and Hot for Teacher.
And it's surprising I say only 4 singles, but it's surprising there weren't more.
Right. This one is, considered, or on the Rolling Stones list of 100 greatest albums of the 80s, this one is at number 81. This reached number 2 on the Billboard 200, and remained there for 5 weeks. And it was kept off the top spot by Michael Jackson's Thriller, on which Eddie played the solo to beat it.
So Eddie was on both.
Yeah, but I mean, everybody knows 1984. There's nothing that we aren't talking about. I like the album cuts on this, the ones that don't get a lot of attention. Top Jimmy, Drop Dead Legs, Girl Gone Bad, House of Pain, but those other songs like swallowed up a whole lot of attention.
Yes.
When this came out. And this is basically their breakout album. This is them introducing themselves to the entire world. So, 1984 at number 3. So, at number 2, I think Women and Children First goes there, because this is, again, it's very dark, but I guess I would explain this album like just a heavier feel of those first 2 Van Halen albums. This is actually their 3rd album, released March 1980, and only had 1 single, and The Cradle Will Rock.
Yeah.
And boy, what a great...
That's a great single.
What a great song. Also on this one, Everybody Wants Some, Fools, Romeo Delight, Tora Tora, Loss of Control, Take Your Whiskey Home, which is like probably my favorite song on this record. Could This Be Magic, and A Simple Rhyme. And it says Growth is a hidden track. I wonder if I've never known that as a hidden track, but anyway, Women and Children First. You got to love the picture of them with Eddie playing his shark striped guitar there on the cover. And then there's another portrait of them on the back. That's number 2.
So
correct?
what's number 1?
So I think number 1 has to be the original, right? Van Halen.
Yes.
I would have been 4 when this came out. I discovered Van Halen, when I was like 6 or 7. I can't imagine being a young kid, like musician or not, and hearing, walking through the parking lot in high school and hearing every car door and car window down playing Eruption, and the kind of like brain melting that would have done for me as a kid. What was it like?
It was, for out of the gate, they became really, really popular.
Yeah.
And it's almost like the Van Halen camp was one camp, and then the kids who listened to New Wave and other stuff was another camp.
Yeah.
So for me, Van Halen was not really the enemy, but it was it was something that you listened to, but you didn't dive deep in.
Yeah. Well, this is their debut studio album, released February 1978, widely regarded as one of the greatest debut albums in rock music. The singles from this, You Really Got Me, which is a Kinks cover, Running with the Devil, Ain't Talking About Love, Jamie's Crying, and On Fire. Gene Simmons was kind of an early helper of Van Halen. He kind of helped put together their demo that they did before they got signed. But what a interesting time that must have been in Los Angeles, like on the Sunset Strip, where you've got all these guitarists and musicians trying to stand out. And then this kid from Pasadena, who's Dutch and Asian, he and his brother come along, and he basically reinvents the instrument.
Yeah, and when they're, doing house parties with 2,000 people and the police show up and they have to tear down the party,
yeah,
that this band's going to get signed.
Yeah, and It's really kind of a shame because they're warring camps like the Sammy, the Dave, and then all of the infighting within the band. If the band could have gotten out of their way along the way, there would be a lot more music out there. I
absolutely.
mean, honestly, they put two studio albums out in like the last 25 years. So that's a bummer, but we always have the music. And the one we left off of here is Diver Down, which is very maligned by Van Halen fans. But I love it. I love all the Dave stuff, but if we're just doing 5, that one is the one that didn't make it onto the boat.
You didn't make the boat.
So it's always fun taking the releases from these bands and distilling them down into those top 5. And we want you guys to go to our YouTube channel. Tell us what you want to see. Tell us other top 5s that we should do. What else should they do?
Like our videos and comment. Give us your top 5.
Yeah.
I mean, because it's okay if your top 5 of the Dave era
doesn't
don't
match ours. Yeah.
Ours.
Yeah. So please do all that stuff. Check us out on our social pages and just go out there, spin some vinyl, listen to that music, let it wash over you and have a great time. That's Wheels. I'm Jay, and we'll see you all the next time around.